I don't really know how to start off with this, so I'm just going to start talking. My name is Matthew Seba, and I am a parishioner of St. Joseph the Worker in the Diocese of Tyler. This is an FSSP parish. And I am particularly terrified that I'm going to get in a bunch of trouble, or my parish is going to get in a bunch of trouble for making this video, but I'm going to do it anyways. So many of you Catholics know that a letter dated November 6th, and I think publicly released on the 11th, which is the anniversary of our beloved Bishop Strickland's ouster. This letter said that basically all of the Latin masses throughout the diocese will be shut down except for the one at my parish, the FSSP, which is currently bursting at the seams. There are about 70 people each week, at least at the Mass I go to, 70 people each week that are either in the parish hall watching the Mass on video, or they're out in the front yard outside of the church like myself, standing out in the weather, which right now in Texas is pretty outside. It's between 65 and 75 degrees and sunny most days, and so standing outside is actually pretty pleasant until it's going to get cold and rainy. But there's 70 people outside of the main church building itself just for the Mass. So the 4 other parishes in the diocese that were previously holding the Latin Mass have now been told that they are not allowed to have the Latin Mass anymore. That includes the cathedral a few miles from us and 3 other parishes in the diocese. So that was a pretty big blow. So a year ago, Bishop Strickland was removed. God, I'm shaking. Bishop Strickland was removed, and then now all of the hundreds of people that go to the other Latin Masses are told that they are not allowed to go to their own parishes for the Latin Mass, and they come to ours, and ours is bursting at the seams, like I said. So we're not sure what to do with all of these extra people. We're talking about having extra Masses in the afternoons. I mean, it's really up to the priest to figure out what to do. We don't have the ability to accommodate them all. So it's been tossed around among the lay people about getting permission from Bishop Vasquez if it's a possibility that we could rent a place like the Holiday Inn Conference Center or some other place. Even talked about how it seems to be canonically allowed to rent a Protestant place of worship to have the Latin Mass as long as the bishop allows it, which is unbelievable that it is canonically allowed for us to rent a Protestant place of worship for the traditional Latin Mass, but we can't have the traditional Latin Mass in a Catholic church. Or we can do it at the Holiday Inn, but not in a Catholic church, except for at the FSSP. So, as if that wasn't bad enough, there's a story today, just 4 days later, after the release of this letter shutting down the Latin Mass at all but the FSSP parish, that says, breaking, Vatican approves Mayan rite with ritual dance, female incensors, and lay leadership of Mass parts. So, in the same week that they shut down the Latin Mass, in the Diocese of Tyler, at 4 of the diocesan parishes, they have announced that the Vatican has approved the Mayan rite of the Mass, which includes a bunch of things that are basically pagan. They're not Catholic. They have women who are doing the priest's job of incensing the Book of the Gospels, the altar. Anyways, there's a whole bunch of pagan stuff. So, tell me how the Vatican has any legitimacy anymore when they're shutting down the Latin Mass, which I have an ethnic claim to the Latin Mass, which is what they're saying about this Mayan rite, is that they have an ethnic claim, an ethnic history. I do too. My family comes from Poland. My family comes from France, and they celebrated the traditional Latin Mass in both of those places for hundreds, if over 1,000 years, since Gregory the Great, before that. I have an ethnic right to that too. But how do they have any legitimacy anymore? That they bring in these pagan customs. They say that this is the liturgy of the church and not just customs or habits that are viewed with suspicion. They have the Zaire rite, another one being approved. These are not Catholic things, or these are a Catholic Mass with un-Catholic things brought into them, but the traditional Latin Mass is not allowed. And it's not like these two things happened. I mean, there are ritual dances during the offertory. There's lay leadership of Mass prayers in these things. It seems the legitimacy of Rome and of the Vatican are in serious question. They get rid of the traditional Latin Mass. We are not allowed to celebrate the traditional Latin Mass in diocesan parishes, but these people are allowed to celebrate whatever this is. And the fact that they're doing it in the same week, 4 days apart, is just infuriating. It's sickening. We're being sent to a ghetto, and they're creating this stuff at the very same time. And I'm terrified that we have a building campaign currently for a bigger building. And we're all terrified that if any of us complain, if any of us beg for mercy and say, hey, wait, guys, come on, please have some mercy on us. There are hundreds of people that are going to be turned out of the Latin Mass because of this. Or we can't possibly accommodate all of these people. Or we have to rent a Holiday Inn or a Protestant place of worship in order to accommodate all of this. Please, will you please let us have these? And the answer is no. We're terrified that just by asking for mercy, that they're going to take away our building campaign, that they're going to disallow us to build a new building. We're terrified that they may even tell the FSSP that you can't celebrate the Mass in the Diocese of Tyler anymore. We're terrified that Rome's going to tell the FSSP, you guys are shut down. We're now applying Traditionis Custodes to you. We have a strong community here. And it totally blows my mind that Tyler, Texas is like ground zero for war with the Vatican. I don't know how else to put it, but that we're the whipping boy of... I mean, I know that there are other places that have it worse. We just seem to be the most publicized. The most regularly publicized. But we're terrified that what we have here, this beautiful culture, this community that we have, homeschoolers, Latin Mass, we have liturgical events and public acts of worship, processions, May crownings, all kinds of beautiful little things like that regularly, and that if Rome wanted to, and if the powers that be here that outed Bishop Strickland wanted to, they could just make it very difficult or put an end to it. I mean, they can't make us move, but if they destroy the Latin Mass here in town, in the diocese, we're not going to be worshiping together on Sundays anymore. Some people will go to the Novus Ordo. Some people will drive all the way over to Fort Worth for the SSPX. Maybe, God willing, there would be priests who would resist this and they would celebrate the Latin Mass in hiding, or they do it in public and just say, we're doing it. You don't have any legitimacy. You are creating these pagan rites. Y'all have lost all legitimacy to say that we can't do the Latin Mass. But I'm terrified as hell to be making this video. I'm just making it. I haven't even published it yet. I'm just making this video in my home office, and I'm shaking like a leaf because there's a lot at stake. There's a lot to lose. My kids are being raised in this fantastic community, and everybody's terrified that it's going to be taken away because wicked men have lost charity and are not interested in the well-being. They're interested in imposing their false beliefs on people who don't share those false beliefs. And so they're punishing those of us who are trying to live a good Catholic life who give more money to the bishop's faith appeal and the pro-life organizations and clean up the parishes and do whatever we can to help Father, not just at the FSSP, but at the cathedral, at the other parishes. We provide at least as much as the other parishioners do, because we really love our priests, we really love our parish, we really love the traditional Latin Mass, and we try to show gratitude. We try to show that we don't take these things for granted. And it really hurts with Bishop Vasquez's letter that he hopes that we could be in unity with the rest of the church. We are not in disunity with the rest of the church. That was a jab. That was a shiv between the ribs. That's not okay. How uncharitable is that line? Especially here in Texas. We have Spanish masses at nearly every parish, but the people who speak Spanish are not integrated into the rest of parish life. They're not brought into other parish events. They're not told, hey, guys, you need to really come and become part of the rest of the parish. You can't just stay segregated in your Spanish masses. You can't just stay segregated in your quinceañeras and all the rest. They're not told that. I've lived in Texas almost my entire life. I was born here, raised here. I moved away for a few years, and I came back. I'm 44. I'm 44 years old. The Spanish speakers have never been made to, on large scale, or even encouraged to, on large scale, integrate with the rest of the parish. But the traditional Latin Masters generally try to. And to be treated as though we're not, and that we are trying to be in disunity with the rest of the parish or the rest of the church, that's just not true. And it's uncharitable, unkind, and unmerciful to imply that that's the case. I fear for the future of our community. I fear for the future of the Latin Mass in the Diocese of Tyler. But I'm done hiding. I'm done not saying anything, because not saying anything has just gotten us abused. And I'm not saying something because I hope that something will come from it, but something needs to be said. I mean, Bishop Strickland was very inspirational in his letter earlier this week, but that's the thing that's been on my heart for a very, very long time. And maybe his letter was some encouragement to me. But I'm still pretty nervous about something happening, because it seems like every time I open my mouth, I get smacked for it. Well, thanks for watching. God bless you. I hope this doesn't fall on deaf ears. I hope that y'all recognize that we really do love the Catholic Church. We love the other Catholics. We want what is best. We want to raise our families in a great community with the Latin Mass, and this just seems like abuse. And the fact, like I said, that it's the same week that they shut down the Latin Mass at the cathedral and the other parishes, they're approving this Mayan rite, which has these pagan underpinnings. Give me a break, guys. How does Rome have any legitimacy with something like this? Y'all take care. God bless.